Here we go, Florus, Bk2.30, Part 2. Sed difficilius est provincias obtinere quam facere. Difficilius is a comparative, but it is more difficult to obtain a province, than to facere, than to make it. Obtain probably means to retain it or to keep, so it's more difficult to keep a province than to make it. Viribus parantor, jure retinerentur. So with force, viribus parantor, they are prepared, they are created or made. Jure, by right and by law, retinerator. So you've got obtinere and retinere. Obviously didn't want to use retino twice, but by law or by rights it is retained after they're made with force. Igitur breveid gaudium. Gaudium's a neuter, it needs a neuter. So therefore, the gaudium, this joy, was breve, brief. Quipe sent, Germani victi, the defeated Germans, nominative plural. Magus quam, they were more than, so it looks like the Germans were victi more than domini erant. So they were conquered more than tamed or domesticated. Mores qui nostres, in our mores, our customs, magus quam, more than armour, sub impera juso suspiciant. So, taking the ablative here, under the leadership of Drusus, with him giving the commands. It was more our mores, our customs and manner than arms which they suspiciant, or which they looked up to, or how they reacted. Postquam. After ille defunctus est, past passive, with ille. After he was defunctus, he was dead. Vari quintillae, genitive. The libidinem ex superbiam. Libidinem is lustfulness and licentiousness, and superbia is arrogance and pride. Horde seekers, really not differently than, or not less quam than. Savitiam Odyssei coperant. So coperant means they began. Odyssei is the infinity from it. They began to hate the savagery. So what that whole sentence means, after Drusus was defunctus, he was dead. They began to hate the lustfulness and arrogance and proudness more than the savagery or sharpness or cruelty or whatever you want to call it. Orsus, that's a semi-deponent word, I believe. So ille, he dead, orsus, agere, to conduct or hold a conventum, a gathering or an assembly, and in courtis edixerat. Edixerat means he spoke out, made an edict. Now we have difference of text here. In courtis means not being wise, but we have in with the accusative against the kathos. Now, double T, which are the people. So in with the accusative means towards them. So he spoke out, made an edict against the kathos people. So in, was it? Quasi as if violentium barbarum, against the violence of the barbarians. Lictoris virgus, with rods of a lictor, and voce, with the voice praeconus of a herald. Posset, he was able in Hibere, like per Hibere, to check or to so as if he was able to stop the violence of the barbarians, just with his authority of his of the lictor, and because he had a herald announce it. That's what it's getting at. But ille, the former, this would be the Germans, qui who, jam predem, now for a long time, robagain obsitos enses, inertus qui merent equos. Okay, so this little section goes together. So obsitos means overgrown or gone into disuse, I'm guessing, for enses, which are swords. Robagain is the ablative with rust. So the disused swords with rust, and the inertes equis, and their horses are grown inert or from lack of use, and marerent is the verb of which they were doing. So they were groaning about this, or lamenting or complaining. Of course, for a long time now, the swords were getting rusty from disuse and their horses weren't being used. Ut primum, this goes together as a little phrase, means as soon as togas, et savoria armis jura viderunt. Viderunt means they saw. So as soon as they saw togas and a saviora, which is a comparative jura, which means rights or law, more savage laws with arms. Duce Armenio Arma, with Armenius, is this guy's name? With him as their duke, their general, their leader. They corrupted, they grabbed their arms. So actually that's probably the nominative. Arma is probably a nominative. They crippled as a people. They grabbed their arms. Now is this correctly typed up? Should be Karipi unt or something, because there's plural people doing it. Krup E. You spell this, should be P-I-U-N. Okay, so they grab their arms. And we'll have a daily dictionary of obsitus, the participle, past passive, comes from obsero, to sow. Usually means overgrown, same with seeds, but as we saw it means disused in this particular situation. Cum interim. Interims meanwhile, we'll take cum as when. Tanta erat varo. That would be varus in Latin. Use our nominative name. He had tanta fiducia, such confidence, parcus of peace. So there was such confidence, varo, this must be dative, to varus, of peace, ut, that, ne prodita quidem, ne quidem means not even, prodita means something was told to him or betrayed, per segestin, this is a Greek accusative, per taking the accusative, unem principum, one of the leaders, one of the leading men of the principum is this guy Segestin, or Segestes in English. So what was betrayed to him, prodita, was this conjuration, this conspiracy was betrayed or told to him through this one principle, this one leader. He was not even, they quidem commovit, he was not even moved, basically. Itaque, and so, improvidum, means unforeseen, usually unexpected, and nihil tale, no such sort of metu entem, and there was no such fear. That's another accusative. This time it's the present participle. Ex improvo, from an unexpected again. So we have improvidum and ex improviso. So it's suddenly happening and unforeseen. Ad ortai, this would be them they've attacked. They've rose to attack. Cum illi, when he, o securitas, this is an adverbial accusative. O, taking the accusative. So when he, O security, had acciterated, he had summoned, again this would be the people who did the ad ortai, he'd summoned them ad tribunal, to a tribunal, he was going to address them. Undique, the adverb, from everywhere, invaded, they invaded, they attacked. Varus, perditas res, this is the destructive, or destruction. Iedem quo caninsem, which is cani, diems the day, Paulus. So, et fato est animo circuitos. Circuitos means he followed. So, iedem, we see from the eo, it's ablative most likely. So, the same fato, the same fate, and the same animo. Animus is a courage or spirit, as which Paulus met his diem. When you in Latin, when you meet your day, it's usually your last day or you die at cani. So his destruction was the same way. Quo means but in the same way, the same fate. Followed Paulus when he died at cani. Okay, so Castra Appii, under the camp was seized. 3 legions, 3 legions were prominent crushed. Varus met his destruction the same way that Paulus followed his fate and day. Nihil illa cade, so nothing illa in this cade, destruction or slaughter, through the palus, through the marshes, per equi, and through the silvers, through the woodlines, cruentius, was more crueler. Nihil, nothing, insultane, ablative, barbarium, intolerantius, comparative. Nothing was more intolerable in these insults of the barbarians. Prequi especially. Tamen, usually nevertheless, but probably like a still or a yet here, especially still in the causorum patrons. Patrons are people who plead at court, so it's your in the causes of some sort of legal thing. So especially towards these legal people, that seems like they were insulted. Alias oculus. To some, their eyes, alias the correlative. To others, manus amputabat. So the amputated, manus is a fourth, it's the female of the fourth declension, and it's plural here. So with some, they amputated the eyes, and with others, they amputated the hands. So they dug out the eyes. Unius, one of those naughty nine pronominals. One, their os was sutum. Os is the face or the mouth. Here it would be a mouth was sutum, sewed up. Recisa prius, so prius or prior, the lingua was recisa, the tongue was cut out. Then quam in manu, in his hand, tenens, holding a barbarous, a barbarian, holding this in his hand. He ated, A-I-T. Usually when you have these quotes, you're using quit, but ate can go either in the deco way of reported speech or in this inverted commas. So tandem, a last, vipera, viper, you snake, desisti, you desist. This actually takes the infinitive. You're ceasing to sibilare, to hiss. So at last, snake, you're not going to hiss. You're stopping hissing. Ipsius quoque. So also, it itself, the corpus, consolus, the body of the consul, corpus is a third, quad, which, indicating it was a neuter, which the militum pieties, so the pieties or the pietial duty, huma in the ground, abditerat, militum of the soldiers, so which the piety of the soldiers had abditerated in the ground, they had buried it in the ground, it was ephosum, the corpus was ephosum, dug up. Signa and aquilus duas, so the standards, the signas and the aquilus, these are the eagles which they have on their standards. Duas means two of them. 1, 2, and 3 actually decline. Ad hoc, yet or still. Barbari, this would be the nominative plurals. So the barbarians still, ad hoc, posident, they possess these standards and eagles. A tertium signifier, a signifier is the standard bearer, the guy, it's actually a role. The third, by a standard bearer, remember two of them, the barbarians have the third one. Prius quem prior than, in manus hostium venerate, prior to venerating into the hands of the enemy, hostium genitive, venerate means coming into. Looks like the signifier, he evulsed it after this little clause, which means he ripped it away, plucked it out, mersamque, and submerged, incha baltia sua, into his belt, latobris, the hiding places of his belt, suae baltia, gerens, which he was gerensing, and he was carrying it, in cruenta palud, into a bloody marsh, blood-stained marsh, sick, thus, latuit. Yeah, he hid it, so he hid himself. It doesn't say, maybe he hid the third standard there. Hack clade, female, factum, so this disaster happened, ut. That imperium, the empire, quad, which in litore ocean, in the shore of the ocean, non steterat, had not stopped or halted at the shore of the ocean, in riparenus flumis starid. So it stopped or halted on the riverbanks of the Rhine Fluminus River. Chapter 31. Haec ad septentrion, add with the accusative. So these things, haec, to the north, and they happen there. You'll have to stick that in there. Sub meridiano, sub with the ablative. Down under the south, so these things to the north, and now we're dealing with the south, they were tumultuatum, magisquam, more than bellatum est, more than est, means is or was, wars. So they had tumultuans, which are disturbances more than wars. I'll just type some things there that weren't in its text. So, Musamulus acqui Gaetulos. These are the Musalami in the English and the Gaetulians, whoever they were. They are Acolas, inhabitants of Syrtius, which is near the... if you live in Europe, you might know where these places are. Syrtis. Cosso Duce means with Cosso as the general or the leader. Cossus. compescit. He checked these, which would be the tumultus. They were checked by him. We're almost done. Undi, from where? Ili, I'm guessing to him, this would be Kossos. The nomen of Gaetuloukius. This must be from where he got this name. Latius quam ipsa victoria, which was Latius, more wider spread, quam than the victory itself. Marmodes and Garamantes, which are the Marides and the Garamantes. Quirinos subigendos dedit. This would be Augustus gave them to Quirinus in the dative for this gerundive, for subjugation, subigendos. Potuit et illi. So illi, he, this will be Quirinius, whoever he is, Potuit, he was able, et also he was able, redire, to return Marinicus, which we saw this first guy had beaten the Gaetuli, and he got the name of Gaetuli from beating them. So this other guy was able to return with the name of Marimarchus, said Modestia, but he was more modest, comparative, in estimation Victoria. This estimation Victoria, and full it means he was. So he's more modest in his estimation of victory, so he didn't get this name, I'm guessing.